Okay, we are live. Welcome everybody. Today we'll have a not very long subject. It will be about food combining. So how do we combine food? What food is better or not so good for you to combine and eat together? And how that can affect your digestion and ultimately will affect your health. So if you're watching live, please say hi so I know that you are here. If you are watching this on replay, please put hashtag replay. That will be great. So I hope that you guys will enjoy the subject. I know that this was kind of big thing for me. A few years back, I was very strict with how I combine food and I saw some benefits. And every time I learn something, I want to right away test it on me to see if this is something that I can see the difference, and I will share all that experience with you. If you are watching for the first time, my name is Anya Shostak and I am a wellness coach. I started finding balance. So I help people to, hi Becca, hi again. That will be a good subject for you too, Becca. So I hope that you are going to watch to the end. And so I'm helping people to find a balance. It will be emotional balance. It will be our mental balance, our physical balance, and our spiritual balance. So I look at the person and I see which one of those areas needs more work, because all of them have to be balanced in order for a person to actually be healthy, happy, and feel safe. So to not anymore, let's basically get started. So today, like I said at the beginning, we will learn kind of what are the good food combination, how to combine different types of food and why, and how is that affecting our health. So like I said earlier, this was like a big thing for me a few years ago, like probably 5 years ago or more, when I started to learning like what is food, how to combine it to get the most benefits out of it, and also how to make it easiest for my digestion, because that is very important. Because if it's easier for digestion, then your digestion will work better, and then you will ultimately not only gain the best out of your food, but also you will just feel better, and your body will not have to work so hard to digest the food. So my first rule that was very important, and I learned a kind of hard lesson on it, and so I knew that something is off. It's combining fruits with any other type of food. Yes, I know it's crazy, because majority of us believe that in our meal we need to have a full meal and there has to be a fruit. But unfortunately, can you do that? If you have an amazing digestion, you probably won't notice that this is negatively affecting you. However, because sweet is the first taste that is digested first, it's the first part of digestion, your brain will start digesting the fruit, sugars, and will not produce good enzymes and the rest for digestion, the other foods. So it's the best to eat them first. So like an hour or 2 hours separately from other foods. So for example, I know, and I was the person that I always put my fruit in my smoothies. I put my proteins there. I put all of it. Of course, blended is easier to digest, so that definitely helps. However, to get the best out of it is to eat them separately. So for example, like I will have in the morning regular breakfast, and then about 2 hours, 3 hours later for a snack, I will have a fruit. Or sometimes I really in the morning feel like a fruit. But usually I eat that in the summer just because For my body type, is the best actually to have a pretty good breakfast, not starting from the light fruit. So, so I will keep it away, or after lunch, after 2 hours, I will have some fruit, and that will be perfect for my body type and for majority of the people. Also, with the fruit, there are some fruits that is better to not combine with the other fruits. So there is definitely a rule that if you eat any type of melon, eat just that type of melon. So if you eat watermelon, eat just watermelon. If you eat cantaloupe, eat just cantaloupe. So all the melons supposed to be separated from any other fruit and even any other melons, because they are digested the best. We get the most out of them, as well as they just digest better. If it comes to the fruits, to not forget, they are also, it's not beneficial for us to mix them with any type of milk. Mostly I will be talking here about dairy, because they both heavy and they just not good combination. They are not digesting well. So if you're eating yogurt with fruit, that could cause, especially in some body types, a lot of inflammation and a lot of like the phlegm and congestion problems. And if you want to test that, especially if you have a body type of the kapha, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I strongly invite you to watch other videos about different body types, so it will kind of give you ideas where you stand there. So especially for kapha, if you combine yogurt and fruit, you can like right away see it, that you start having a phlegm like forming, because it's very inflammatory, especially if it's a dairy actually yogurt, not just like a plant-based yogurt. Initially I was very much convinced that because I don't eat dairy, that rule doesn't apply. But then I tested, and actually I have to say, even if this is not my body type, due to my other health problem like Hashimoto, I can notice that if I eat any yogurt with fruit, I will start feeling like in my throat that little phlegm. So I tested that, but you can absolutely test it for yourself so you can see if that works. Another one is this is also about yogurt. It's to first not mix it with the fruits, but also to try not to eat it at night, because yogurt is pretty heavy to digest, and also especially for some body type, it will cause congestion, all that phlegm and inflammation situation happening in your breathing system. So also you can test that, and if you eat at night a lot of yogurt, you can, if you notice for yourself any type of congestion, that will show you that for your body type, that's probably is not beneficial. I have to say, even if this is not my body type, if I eat yogurt at night, and actually I love yogurt eating like at night, a few hours before I go to bed, I notice that I have a little phlegm. So even that affects me, and especially if this is yogurt that is dairy yogurt. I eat yogurt that I make by myself, the coconut milk yogurt, but it's still causing the same thing. When it also comes to milk, so if we're talking about kind of dairy or milkish stuff, I will suggest to, if you want a milk at night, and especially if you are kapha or by this specific body type, I will suggest not to have it. Or if you want to have it, if you really truly love milk at night, warm milk, please add a little bit turmeric to it. It will make it a little bit yellowish, but it will really help to digest and to not get that congestion in the morning. So I want you guys to actually test yourself. Try it. I try all those things on my own body, on everybody that I know body to test it, because I want to know if this is true. So I ask people to test it and tell me how that worked for them. Okay, so that is, I need to check my notes so I have everything. Becca is saying that she can relate to the yogurt. So that is a great lesson to have. Remember, observe your body, because your body will tell you what works and what not. And I really, really want you guys to put in the comments that say, no, Anya, you know what? I can eat yogurt at night and I am good. So that's perfect. So, but providing those information to you because some of you will have problems, and that you actually pay attention to it so you will know what is this coming from. So thank you, Becca, for sharing. Okay, we talked about that one. Okay, now this is a big. So our culture, and a lot of culture actually, we eat dessert at the end of our meal. So we have beautiful meal. We say to our kids, I was like, after you eat the whole dinner, you can have a dessert, right? And actually my husband say that all the time to my daughter, and I always have to like, oh my gosh, it's happening again. But actually we're supposed to have dessert first. We're supposed to start dinner from dessert, because our body, the first part of digestion is the sweet, heavy taste. So it's actually better for us to have it before dinner. It will not spoil our appetite. Just not have a whole cake, but eat an hour or 2 hours before dinner or before lunch. Have a dessert if you need. If you have that need for dessert, I will suggest to eat that dessert then. It's still very difficult habit for me to break, because it's years and years of just living that after you eat, you kind of feel like, oh, now I want to eat something sweet. Dessert will be nice. So I'm still working on it, is to break that habit. Okay, next one. Next one will be also very controversial. It's about eating salad. So normally in most of the cultures, especially in the Western culture, we eat raw salad at the beginning. So we start with the salad and then we eat the rest of the meal. And actually, we should be eating salad at the end of the meal, because it's the lightest food, so it can sit there and it will be digested. So the heaviest food needs to be put first and the lightest food needs to be at the end. So if you guys are like, oh my God, are you serious? I need to eat my salad at the end. Put the face like a shocking face. Because I remember when I've learned that, I also was like, what? What is that about? So eat salad at the end. Then also with the salad, every actually raw food, if you have cooked food and then raw food, try to eat it at the end. Especially that raw food, usually if it's like salad, is the flavor or the taste that is the last part of the digestion. And we'll talk about it, like what is digested for how long, so you guys can have a little bit more understanding of it. Okay, I have to have a notes with that because I will definitely forget something. Another rule that I am following, so all those rules that I am... Yes, Becca is like, what? That's right. It's a shock. I was shocked too. But now I make sure that my salad is eaten at the end, or my sprouts I will eat at the end. And the last one that I definitely try to the most implement in my life, so those one, all the rules that I said, those one that I really try to follow, is that I have something warm to drink. So some of you already saw my thermos. Now it's not the green one, now I have a new one, white one. It's with warm liquid. So I'm not telling you drink all that bottle, because please do not drink so much liquid during your meal. But drink, sip on warm tea, warm liquid throughout the food, especially if you're eating more dry food than like a soup. Because if you're eating soup, you really don't need any liquids, because we need some liquids while we are eating, so the stomach can basically mix it up everything, and it's easier to move that food around. So sip on some warm water or warm tea. That will definitely help with digestion. And that definitely will help with all of those food that you just put it in. Okay, so those ones are a few rules that I implement in my life, and I've noticed that they make a huge difference how I digest my food, and that I'm gaining the most out of it. Now, I wanted to tell you some of the combinations or food combining rules to have in mind. I will be honest, some of them I do not follow as good, and I will tell you why. It's because of my body type. So some body type have to really follow them, and some body type have to pay attention to them, but they cannot strictly follow them just because they need to have that break. And I will explain everything in a second. So the first one, okay, Becca says, I always drink cold water and lots of it. I will try drinking tea with my meals. Very good. Actually, Becca, if you can stop drinking cold water, if you really like cold water, I get it. But if you stop drinking cold water like an hour or hour and a half before you planning to eat, that will be perfect. Because that cold water, when you put it in your body, have to actually warm up to your body temperature. So I'm not sure what is the cold water for you, but let's say that it is 40 degrees or 50 degrees, right? So now it has to go to like 98 point, I'm not sure, Fahrenheit, sorry guys, degree, right? So you don't have no fire in your stomach or in your body. So it takes hours to warm it up. And if that water sit on the top of your, in your stomach, the juice, which is the acid, it sits there, and there is not enough acid to digest your food. So working actually towards not drinking cold water, but drinking room temperature water will be probably the best. And drinking a lot of water, like an hour or hour and a half prior to eating meal. Because like I said, this water has to be warmed up first, and then it takes time. It's actually take 1 hour to absorb the water from your stomach to your cells and into your bloodstream. So if it sits there, right there, right, the acid is not very strong, so you're not digesting your food. But that's a side subject, but very good note. Thank you, Becca, for sharing that experience, because now we could talk about it a little bit. So the food combining to have in mind. One is protein and starch. So protein will be, if you're talking about animal protein, obviously will be all type of meats, fishes, eggs. If you're talking about if you're on a vegan diet, that will be nuts and seeds. That will be obviously protein for plant-based people or plant-based diet. Then starches, that will be like grains, rice, potatoes, sweet potato and regular potato, and then beets. So all of those, usually carrots, all of those vegetables that are root vegetables, those one will be starches as well as grains. So why we should stay away from combining them, which means it's eating them at the same meal, because they have a different way of being digested. So proteins are very heavy, and then they are harder to digest. They also, a lot of proteins have fat, like nuts have fat, some meats have more fat than the others, and they just will not digest it the same way. So the body have a very hard time to digest them well. So then we have food that is not digested, the digestion is heavy, and it's slow, then your metabolism slows down, and then you are not getting the best thing from your meal. So if it comes to, for example, my diet, I actually have to add a little bit starches to proteins. So I would eat rice with some, with some protein, like some seeds and nuts, just because it actually helps me a little bit, but I add a little bit. So that will be like 1/8 or 1/10 of my meal. If I have a high protein meal, I will put a little bit starches. So for example, I will have like half beet or a little bit carrots or some grains, just because it's definitely helps my body to do it. I have a lot of movement, but for some body types, it actually slows down a lot and it's just not so efficient. That will be the first one. Then second one will be protein and fats. So again, meat or seeds, nuts, protein and fats. So not combining those two, because again, they are very heavy and very difficult to digest. So it's hard for the body. The body has to work super hard to digest it. So obviously it slows down the body. The body uses so much energy and you getting like sluggishy. Like after you eat, you're like, ugh. If you ever felt that way, put the emoji that you feel, ugh. I don't know if there is emoji like that. I don't know, maybe it is. Look it up. But so give me thumbs up. Yes, I felt after meals like that. Because actually we're supposed to feel energized throughout after our meal, not sluggish, not tired, not that we are ready to pass out. So those combinations, though avoiding some of those combinations, will definitely improve that energy level for you. Okay, next one is protein and sugar. So yes, Becca can relate to that. Thank you for sharing, Becca. Protein and sugar also, because sugar will get your blood sugar obviously spike. You'll get that spike. It's very fast digestible for the body, and then the protein will sit there. So is try to avoid combination of that. So you can still have a little bit sugar, but maybe eat sweet stuff first and then protein later. Try to avoid that combination. And next one is starches and acid. I never combine starches and acid. So acid will be here like something like fruit maybe, or something that has acidity, lemon. I think lemon actually don't go to that category. But maybe other fruits and maybe something sour. I never combine it. If you actually combine starches and acid in a pretty big quantities, let me know. Put that in the comments, starches and acid, because I actually never combine that, but this is one of the no-nos to combine the food. Next one, actually that will be all. So yes, all of them are done. So now also I want to tell you two tips, like something to have in mind, to pay attention to it and maybe observe. It's to not, when you're eating animal protein, and that really helps people when they eat animal protein, is if you eat one type of protein. So if you eat beef, eat only beef. Do not mix with any other type of protein. Or if you eat nuts, don't combine them with any other plant protein, because that also it's heavier for digestion. So if we want to stick with proteins, we want to stick with one type of protein, so one type of meat, so beef or pork or chicken. Do not combine different types, because that is so much heavier for your digestion. It's easier for your body to digest when you eat one type. Also, tip is, when you have a slow digestion, and a lot of people actually don't know that, and I didn't either, I've learned that probably 2 years ago, that seafood is heavy to digest. I always thought that fish and seafood is so easy to digest, and it's actually not. It's heavy to digest. So have in mind that when you're eating seafood, maybe add that lemon on them. That will speed up your digestion, or add some herbs that will help you with digesting it, because they are heavy to digest. So those ones were tips. Now I want to tell you what type of foods are digested and how long does it take to digest them. So for example, melon. So I was telling you guys that eat melon by itself with no other fruits. You will digest melon in 1 hour. So you can kind of plan when is the time that you can eat something else. So because you will digest the food, and then you can start eating something else. I mentioned in a few videos how important it is to eat when your previous meal is fully digested, when you feel hungry, when you feel energized, when you don't have that heaviness in your stomach. That means that you digested to the end, and you can then eat other type of food. Other fruits, I usually 1 to 2 hours, and that's usually what I do, that I will eat about 1 or usually 2 hours before another meal. So I have that time to digest them well, and I can prepare for another meal. Vegetables are usually 2.5 hours to digest them. Fats are digested in 3 hours, so it takes, you can guys see how longer. That's why we don't want to combine them with any other foods that are also digested long, because it's so heavy and your body just have to work so hard. Starches are 3 hours, so also long. So you want to, because they heavy, because they sweet, starches are sweet, so they also digested pretty long. And proteins, so animal protein are 4 and more hours, up to 6 to 7 hours for some people. Actually, they digest it. Usually they say 4+ hours for the animal protein. For protein like plant-based protein, 4 hours. So still it's not that fast until your meal is fully digested. So I'm wondering if anybody has any question about it. Becca, do you have any question? Does anybody else have any questions? So I have a few minutes to answer them. But that will be, I'm just checking my notes. Okay, actually no, I have another thing that I want to tell you guys. See, I need to check my notes because I totally forgot. So what are the best combination? Because I told you what not to do, but I didn't tell you what to do. So what to combine, what the combinations are the best. So any vegetables that are not starchy vegetables with any type of protein. So rather this is animal protein or it's a plant-based protein. So when I talk about proteins, actually, beans are also proteins, but beans are also starches. They have both in them. So they go between between. So I usually, when I eat beans, I try not to connect them with starches. So like rice or carrots or beets or grains, because they already have that in them, so they have enough of it. So I will try to eat beans with a lot of other vegetables, because that's what is the easiest to digest. So like I said, the small amounts of starches and protein is fine, just not a lot. So beans with rice, not the best combination. And if you want to put some rice, put it a little bit if the protein is your main meal. I see Becca saying starches take a long time for me to digest, for sure. Are there starches that are easier to digest? Rice usually is easier to digest. If rice, the best one to digest is the, oh my goodness, basmati rice. Is that? Jeez, I have a brain fog about that. Basmati rice? I will put it in the comments. There is a rice that is the easiest to digest, and I think it's a basmati or something like that. I have such a bad memory to names, but that rice is probably the easiest. Also, you can put some cumin on it. You can put some spices that will help to digest it faster. Put some lemon. That will definitely help to digest that rice. Then vegetable and starches. So you can eat like vegetables, so any green vegetables that are steamed with any starches that you want. So I usually have if I have vegetables, I have huge plates. So I have sweet potato and regular potato, and I have some leeks, and I have some beets, and I have every possible vegetable that there is. I like to make a huge plate of it, and you can combine this as much as you want. Then vegetable and fats are also good, because fats are transporting the vitamins and nutrients. So when you combine them, you can actually gain the most out of it. So those ones are the best combination. So I hope that this was helpful. If that gave you some value that you can implement into your body, put in the comments value. I want you guys to try it. Share what is your experience, if something actually made a difference. If you still doing all of it and you're not having any problems, share that too, because that's mean that your body has an amazing digestion and it doesn't make a difference to you, and that's lucky, and be grateful. But this is for most of us that usually have some problems with digestion. So I hope that this will be helpful. And if you have any questions, make sure that you will put them in the comment section, and I will love to answer all of them. Thank you guys much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Thank you, Becca. Bye, Becca. I will see you next time.